Welcome back, everyone. Corey Anderson here. Here is a nice meal that I had made. Brown rice, my tilapia fish, and also some egg whites. Brown rice is there for your carbs, since carbs are your body's main source of energy. The tilapia fish is there for your protein. The protein is what helps build the muscles, and it's essentially the body's last source of energy. Your body will only use proteins if you don't have enough carbs or even fats. Fats are the body's second main source of energy. I have in here walnuts. And walnut pieces are great for your fats. Your fats are very important because it's not fats that make you gain weight, it's excess calories. When you're eating more calories than what you're burning, that's what makes you gain weight, but your body needs fats. Saturated fats is what you don't want, but these are very high in saturated fats and trans fats are the fats you want to avoid, but the polyunsaturated and the monosaturated fats are the ones that you really want. Excuse me, sorry, I was eating some of this. But you have fat-soluble vitamins there, vitamins A, D, E, and K, and those are the vitamins that you need. That's why you need your fats, because those vitamins are transferred along the fats throughout the whole body system. And the egg whites they have all your essential amino acids. Amino acids are the more broken down blocks of protein. And here is a good full meal for a nice, well-balanced diet. And right now I'm out of my greens. I don't have any more spinach, but spinach is a very great thing to throw in there. So I'm gonna let this sit here for a little bit because I want to read this to you right now. Okay, so chapter number 16. Pretty sure it's 16. It is 16, right? Yes, it is. The power of mind over destiny. Okay. The destiny of every individual is being created hourly by himself, and that something that determines what he is to create at any particular period in time is the sum total of his ideals. The future of the person is not preordained by some external power, nor is fate controlled by some strange and mysterious force that masterminds can alone comprehend and apply. It is our ideals that control and determine our fate, and we all have our ideals, whether we be aware of the fact or not. To have ideals is not simply to have dreams or visions of that which lies beyond the attainment of the person, nor is the idealism a system of ideas that the practical mind would not have the privilege to entertain. To have ideals is to have definite objects in view, be those objects very high, very low, or anywhere between those extremes. The ideals of any mind are simply the wants, the desires, and the aims of that mind. And as every normal mind will invariably live, think, and work for that which is wanted by his present state of existence, it is evident that every mind must necessarily follow his ideals both consciously and unconsciously. However, when those ideals are low or inferior, the individual will naturally work for the ordinary and the inferior. Now remember, inferior, look at it as the negative aspect, the lower side of things. And the products of his mind will correspond in quality to that for which he is working. Thus inferior causes will spring up everywhere in his life, and inferior effects will inevitably follow. But when those ideals are high and superior, he will work for the superior. He will develop superiority in himself, and he will give superiority to everything that he may produce, and also to everyone which he comes in contact with. Accordingly, every action that he originates in his life will become a superior cause, and will be followed by a superior effect. The destiny of every individual is determined by what he is and by what he is doing. And what any individual is to be or do is determined by what he is living for, thinking for, and working for, be those objects great or small, superior or inferior. Man is not being made by some outside force, nor is the fate of man the result of causes outside of himself. Man is making himself as well as his future with what he is working for, and in all his efforts he invariably follows his ideals. It is therefore evident that he who lives, thinks, and works for the superior becomes superior, while he who works for the less becomes less, and also that any individual may become more, achieve more, and be more by entertaining superior ideals. To entertain superior ideals is not to dream of the impossible, but to enter into mental contact with those greater possibilities that we are not able to discern. Like I was saying earlier, there's an ancient text that says you must be before you have something. You must be that person mentally before you can express that person physically. And you must have all those things in here first before your environment can reflect that on the outside. And to have the power to discern an ideal indicates that we have the power to realize that ideal. For the fact is, we do not become conscious of greater possibilities until we have developed sufficient capacity to work out those possibilities into practical, tangible results. Therefore, when we discern the greater, we are ready to attain and achieve the greater. But before we can proceed to do what we are ready to do, we must adopt superior ideals and live up to those ideals according to our full capacity and power. When our ideals are superior, we shall think constantly of the superior, because as our ideals are, so is our thinking. And to think constantly of the superior is to grow steadily into the likeness of the superior. Thus all the forces of the mind will move towards the superior. All things in the life of the individual will work together with greater and greater goals in view, and continuous advancement on the larger and broader scale must inevitably follow. To entertain superior ideals is not simply to desire some larger personal attainment, nor is it to dwell mentally in some belief that it is different from the usual beliefs of the world. To entertain superior ideals is simply to think the best thought about everything and to try to improve upon that thought every day. Superior idealism, therefore, is not mere dreaming of the great and beautiful. It is also the actual living in mental harmony with the very best we know in all things and in all persons, in all circumstances and in all expressions of life. To live in mental harmony with the best we can find anywhere is to create the best in our own mentalities and personalities. As we grow steadily into the likeness of that which we think of the most, we will in this manner increase our power, capacity, and worth, and in consequence be able to create a better future in the more worthy destiny. For it is the law under every circumstance that the man who becomes much will achieve much, and great attainments are invariably followed by a greater future. To think of anything that is less than the best or to dwell mentally with the inferior is to neutralize the effect of those superior ideals that we have begun to entertain. It is therefore absolutely necessary to entertain superior ideals only, and to cease all recognition of inferiority or imperfection if we want to secure the best results along these lines. In this connection, we find the reason why the majority fail to secure any tangible results from higher ideals, for the fact is they entertain too many lower ideals at the same time. They may aim high, they may adore the beautiful, they may desire the perfect, they may live for the better, and they may work for the greater, but they do not think their best thoughts about everything. Therefore, the house in their case is divided against itself, and cannot stand. Superior idealism, however, contains no thought that is less than the best, and it entertains no desires that has not greater worth in view. Such idealism does not recognize the power of evil in anything or in anybody. We may know that adverse conditions do exist, but it gives the matter no conscious thought whatever. And to pursue this course is absolutely necessary if we would create a better future, for it is not possible to think the best thought and everything about the mind, while the mind gives conscious attention to adversity and imperfection. The true idealist, therefore, gives conscious recognition only to the power of good, and he lives in the conviction that all things in his life are working together for good, But this conviction is not mere sentiment with him, because he knows that all things work together for good when we recognize only the good, think only the good, desire only the good, expect only the good, and live only for the good. To apply the principle of superior idealism in all things, that is, to live, think, and work only for the highest ideals that we can comprehend, means advancement in all things. To follow the superior ideal is to move towards the higher, the greater, and the superior, and no one can ever continue very long in that mode of living, thinking, and acting without creating for himself a new world, a better environment, and a fairer destiny. We understand, therefore, that in order to create a better future, we must begin now to select a better group of ideals, for it is our ideals that constitute the cause of the future we expect to create, and as the cause is, so will also be the effect. Okay, that is the end of chapter 15, 16. Okay, it is 16. Sorry, I've been reading this since chapter 12 today. Yeah, so for about maybe the last 4 hours. Anyway, that's the end of chapter 16, the power of mind over destiny. And if you like this video, please share it. If you also subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one for chapter 16. We're going to go over the X-ray of the mind.